What's going on, everyone? Good to see you. Good to be seen by you. It is Harmony Ginger, aka the Dungeon Delver, and I am here with Bill Sylvie's wife, Colleen Sylvie. What is it like to be married to Bill?
Well, you know, it's never-ending adventure all the time.
Adventure.
Yeah.
Being married to the Dungeon Delver is adventure. You heard it here first. Heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, you never know what to expect. He does not care what anyone thinks of him.
Really?
So you never know, So social situations, he might just kind of say or do whatever he wants to because he's his own target audience.
Do you have any delicious gossip for the internet about?
Well,
Oh, hi, Bill.
Oh, hi.
What's going on? What are you doing?
I don't know.
Nothing.
I said you could come over and be on the show.
Well, yeah.
I thought it was my show now.
No,
Well, you said you should be on the show.
I'm sorry,
I'm
folks.
on the show.
We'll get this sorted out. We'll be right back. Good Saturday evening, everyone. It is good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. I, of course, am Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, and this is my real guest, Harmony Ginger. You know her, you love her.
Welcome to the Harmony Show.
Anyway, thank you all for tuning in tonight. And I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, clicked the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications for more comedic genius on my part and fantastic guests, please do so now. But I hope everybody's having a fantastic evening. Tim says, I have no control tonight. Tim, when do I ever have any control on any given night? But Jimmy Invictus, that was a hell of a time to click on the stream when I'm on serious pain meds. Anyway, thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Harmony, like, she didn't schlep across the country for this, just across 1.5 counties, because we're proximate to each other.
Yeah, no, we live quite close.
Yeah.
I got to meet Bill's wife and his kids and eat his cooking and meet his dog. I like your dog.
Zeus is pretty awesome. Zeus is the official dog of the Delver's Dungeon Show, which fits because he's the only dog that I have. Michael says the hat looks good on her. She's official now.
Well, I have to keep it. I wore it for the intro, and now I have hat hair, and so it's just my hat tonight.
Yeah, until she departs, that's her hat. But anyway, so yeah, we said we gotta we have broken bread together once. I DM'd her and Jaden. DM'd her and Jaden through some AD&D, and I said, well, we gotta make this a thing. We gotta do a thing. So I invited her over, and the stars aligned right. She was able to make it over here and survived my cooking.
It was a trip. Yeah.
But anyway, so we're just gonna bouncing off of those. So who's this? Swords and Stones, Not Your Daddy's D&D says, I'm late again. Cute hat on a cute smile. Oh, that's nice. Patty, I did not make my cheesecake. This desserts are no bueno for Harmony.
I have
So
diabetes.
yeah.
No cheesecake.
See, I have I'm got to be a good host. So I was late with dinner though, and I apologize for
He
that.
made watermelon instead.
Yeah, I just
From
whipped up some
scratch.
cellulose and some natural sugar and just molded it all together there.
Mhm.
But anyway, so what brings you in?
You invited me.
Oh crap, that's right. I got to come up with something
Yeah.
to talk about. Anyway, no, Harvey and I am trying to lure her in to playing some first edition AD&D on the regular here in Central Florida. We've had no luck getting a gaming group together.
My real life friends don't play D&D. It's a problem.
I suggested that they don't play D&D yet, but she corrected me that she had tried. So,
Oh,
whoops,
oh no, you're good. Here, let's fix that.
that's fine. My audience has come to expect disasters on camera, so never fear.
Gandalf came back as a ginger. Gandalf the Red. Yeah.
Yeah, Radagast has to take a back seat. No, Radagast the Brown. That was him. Woof. Somebody's gonna revoke my J.R.R. Tolkien fanboy license there. Oh, thank you for the super, Mark Morrison. If you stop in one day, do you get to wear the hat? I don't know where in the world you are, Mark, but I tell you what, if I'm ever doing a stream and you're proximate, I'm sure we can set you up with some kind of wizard hat accessory.
It has ginger on it now. You'll be tainted.
Yes, your soul will be taken, Mark. But thank you again for the super. Let's see. Tim says we could bribe them, get those real life friends to play by offering them wine and beer. I'm not opposed to throwing together a meal for folks. I did pulled pork tonight, so
It was quite good.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was quickly made pulled pork. I did not dig a hole in the yard and smoke it for 2 days over coals. So.
I made friends today with Bill's wife and his cat.
Well, her cat.
Oh, her cat. It doesn't matter. It liked me.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I don't have a lot of friends that actually play RPGs in real life. Most of my friends in real life are board gamers.
Oh, well, what can you do to regain their interest?
I have been told absolutely nothing, and no way in hell will it ever happen.
Oh.
I have been told they had a bad experience, and now we just get together and play Bob Ross the board game instead.
Bob Ross?
Yeah, he has a board game.
I was not aware of
It's
this.
about mixing paint colors and painting happy little trees.
Do you actually paint in the game?
No.
Oh.
You just like pretend to and talk to each other calmly.
Oh, good Lord, Uncle Brat. Thank you so much. Brother, thank you. Thank you very much. There's a bit. That's more than a bit. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Uncle Brat. That is greatly appreciated. So you don't get to paint in the Bob Ross painting game?
No.
Who's responsible for that? I feel like Europeans have done that.
Don't complain to me, complain to Bob Ross.
Well, I don't. Is Bob still with us? I don't think he is.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
But he was a happy little or he was a national treasure, or is a national treasure. But anyway, I don't remember if I asked you this the last time you were on the show, and this is a dumb interview question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because that's the acumen of my show. What is your favorite board game? Hands down, right now.
Cosmic Encounter.
That's right. Cosmic Encounter.
100%. I could talk about Cosmic Encounter for like an hour. If you want this to be the Cosmic Encounter podcast, I can make it the Cosmic Encounter podcast.
If I knew enough about Cosmic Encounter to ask you,
I'm going to teach you one day.
I Sensei, I absolutely would love to learn.
It's from the late 70s. It's an older game.
Oh yeah. I know it's got a long pedigree.
Yeah.
The oldest gimmick game that I can think of is actually Nuclear War,
I'm not
which
sure if I know that one.
it's a card game, but I think later they added some board gaming like elements to it. The Nuclear War goes back to the late 60s, and it got published by SPI. It got published by oh gosh, Steve Jackson Games, I think, did a few versions of it.
Okay.
It's very tongue in cheek. Like, you've seen Dr. Strangelove, right?
No.
Okay.
Did you really make me admit that? No, I haven't.
Well, you could have just lied and said, "Oh yes,
Yeah,
Bill."
but then you would have said, "You remember this part?" Yeah, yeah. Everyone knows I'm lying. I can't lie. I'm so bad at it.
Uncle Brat wants some Divine Right. Have you played Divine Right?
No.
Okay. But by the way, Wheeling Dragon popped in earlier and said that she'd miss it. I missed you too, Wheeling Dragon. Wheeling Dragon has been out of circulation for a while. I'm very glad you're back. At the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention, we played some Labyrinth, the RPG.
Oh yeah, I know Labyrinth.
Yeah, Labyrinth was a lot of fun.
Oh wait, no, I know the movie.
Well,
David Bowie.
The RPG is
Oh, is
based
it?
on the
Okay.
movie. No cod pieces in it though. At least maybe there are, and we just didn't get to those. Wheeling Dragon. You can tell me now or later if there were, but yeah, no. Nuclear War is just it's just kind of a very Mad Magazine tongue-in-cheek kind of card / board game about nuclear war. But it's odd and interesting in that, again, it predates RPGs and gimmicky style board games. It was kind of the first out of the chute, as it were, as a non-serious game about something that was in the cultural and social zeitgeist.
I think your friend Jimmy Invictus there in the chat knows me because he's rattling off one of my top 5 there, Twilight Imperium. I've played probably 30 games of Twilight Imperium, and that's not an exaggeration. It's like an 8-hour game.
Oh, then that is a lot. I was about to say that a lot. So
Yeah.
38, you've made 10 days straight.
Yeah.
Twilight Imperium.
I shared my Twilight Imperium box on Twitter. I have the winner sign the box, like on the top of the box lid. It's like a really big game because I have the 3rd edition, so it's huge.
Yeah.
And I always have the winner sign the box.
That was the one you had, the Fantasy Flight.
Yeah. Fantasy. I think Fantasy Flight did all the editions because I think the designer was Christian Peterson, right? I think.
Possibly.
I think that's always been Fantasy Flight.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm sure somebody will correct me. I don't know if Kabuki Kid says I'm right. I have the expansions for Twilight Imperium 3. I actually did a bunch of homebrew stuff with that, like maybe like a decade ago or something. I don't want to age myself here. Oh no. Hi Zani.
But yeah, the Fantasy Flight games, I gotta say, I think I mentioned this to you when we were streaming, like you at your house, and we're streaming anyway. I played Descent, and I liked Descent. And
did you?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I did like Descent. But Descent is one of those games that it's almost like, if you're going to go through all of that, why not just play D&D?
Exactly. That's how I felt about Descent. I don't know that the rules to Descent are tight enough to really necessitate a game. I buy all the Descent games because it's cheaper to get miniatures to buy them than
exactly. I
buying
mean, if you slot paint / speed paint, you can go through the entire box and boom, you got skeletons and orcs and that sort of thing.
That's why I buy Descent. I don't actually play the game though. I did once. They came out with this like mobile app that would like run it for you, and it was okay. It was one of, I guess, the first I guess the first attempts at, I don't want to say an AI DM because it wasn't AI, it was pre-programmed, but
Right.
they tried to like automatically DM it for you.
Well, I think, have you ever played Dark Tower from Milton Bradley?
No.
Okay. There was a kind of a follow-up was released to it recently. Interesting piece of history. There were two inventors slash programmers. They saw the sudden rise in fantasy game popularity in the late 70s and early 80s, and they came up with the idea of what if we stuffed a bunch of simple electronics, basically some microcontrollers and whatnot, into a plastic gadget in the middle, and then that was like a Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master, and then everybody could play, but nobody had to be the DM and so on, and it would just be the one quest. And oh, thank you, Wheeling Dragon. What are my two favorite colors? My two favorite colors, probably green and black. But anyhow, so
Green's also my favorite color. We have the same favorite color.
well, there you go. But yeah, so Dark Tower comes out, and they shopped it to Milton Bradley, and Milton Bradley was like, yeah, no, we don't think this is going to catch on. And well, it wasn't called Dark Tower, but Milton Bradley turns around and publishes a game called Dark Tower. They sued Milton Bradley. Meanwhile, Milton Bradley is catching the wave of RPGs in the early 80s and video games in the early 80s, and they get it out there, and it is a smash hit. But right as it's starting to peak, the judge rules in favor of the plaintiffs, and that's the end of it. So the hundreds of thousands of copies it sold, because it did sell hundreds of thousands of copies, became as scarce as hen's teeth. And if you can find it on eBay, it goes for hundreds of dollars. But I told you that story, so I can tell you this one. It did have a DM, basically. It was an electronic dungeon master. You'd hit a button for different encounters and so on and etc. And you could take your adventuring party to the bazaar to buy mercenaries or food for them or what have you, and try and negotiate. And you'd hit a button on the tower, and it might play the defeat tune, saying that you didn't negotiate well enough. But
I gotta say, I definitely prefer a human dungeon master to an electronic one. Crying doesn't work on computers.
It doesn't. It doesn't work on me either. I have a heart of lead. But no. Yeah. So I think if you could say what was the first electronic DM, it would be Dark Tower.
Really? Okay.
Now,
yeah, I wasn't aware of that one.
I have a board game up there that I've actually demoed for the audience before. See, Dungeons and Dragons Electronic Labyrinth. Have you ever played that one?
Absolutely not.
We've got to give that one a spin one of these days. It's it is a ruthless and merciless little board game, and I quite like it.
Well, thanks to Uncle Brat, you're gonna be able to move this wall out and get like a whole like 3 extra feet of space back here. Like
Right. Lady, he's putting my kids through college. But Vincent says Bitcoin is a close second to green. I'm not even sure I follow you, Vincent. But
that's his favorite color, I think.
Oh, that still doesn't make any sense. Blue chip stocks is a favorite color. But yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons Electronic Labyrinth game is fun. It's an electronic game, but it doesn't have a quote unquote DM. It just randomly moves the dragon around once it wakes up, and will move towards your characters and try to attack them. So
okay.
It's
that rings a bell, but I'm not certain if I've seen that or not.
So we can check it out.
Yeah. Does Bitcoin have a color? I think it's like orange. You get the Bitcoin orange.
Yeah, it's just.
I think they put it in crayons now. Bitcoin orange. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Oh, the color of green. Oh, we're just dumb, Bill. We just didn't get that.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Victor says, for a second I thought Bill's copy of Space Hulk was a Space Ghost game, and I did it.
I haven't played Space Hulk. No.
That's another one we should play.
I like I do like space games. I'm all about games like I've mentioned Twilight Imperium, Cosmic Encounter, Race for the Galaxy. I like too, but not really because of the theme. That's just a tight game.
Yeah.
I haven't played Space Hulk. I've heard from multiple people over the last decade and a half or so that I need to rectify this.
It is a lot of fun. If I'd had all my ducks in a row this afternoon or evening, we could have gotten a game in. The first mission, Unalive Yourself mission is what it's called. I can't say the S word on YouTube. The Unalive Yourself mission is a great tense mission. You can play it in probably 30 or 40 minutes. One Marine squad, infinite numbers of Gene Stealers. The Marines don't have to survive. All you have to do is get across the map and fire a flamethrower into a computer room.
So we'll have to do Space Hulk next time.
I absolutely think so.
Space Hulk Saturday.
Space Hulk Saturday. I'm loving it. But yeah, Space Hulk is a good one. And there's one I know I mentioned this to you on the live streams, is Blood Royale. That's not a get together and play on a Saturday game. That is a campaign length game. That is we play this many hours a week over the course of several weeks, because it is like diplomacy meets Risk meets Kingmaker meets D&D.
Okay, that sounds like we need multiple people for that, because I mean, it sounds like you're talking about like a multiplayer war game, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's from the time when Wizards, good Lord, when Games Workshop actually did cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When they would just make a game because they're like, hey, this seems like a cool idea. And you start in the year 1000 and you play to the year 1400, and everybody has a kingdom, nation in Europe that they rule, and you have dynasties.
You don't think Warhammer's cool?
Oh my gosh, did I say that?
I think you did. Do you think
I'm in trouble
is
now.
Warhammer cool, Bill?
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot. These studio lights are making me sweat a little bit. I like the lore and I like Space Hulk. Is that a good enough answer?
Bill doesn't think Warhammer is cool.
I'm going to be cast out, is what's going to happen.
It's okay. I don't play Warhammer. I think half your audience might.
Maybe. Tim says it sounds like an Avalon Hill game with more imagination. It does.
Yeah,
It is. Jimmy says it sounds like I'm describing diplomacy on steroids and tequila. It really is. Blood Royale really is diplomacy on steroids and tequila with dice. It does have dice.
I like diplomacy.
I think you would
I've
love
played
Blood
a lot
Royale.
of diplomacy. I used to be good at diplomacy, but then they started, they started it when we were playing Cosmic Encounter and Twilight Imperium a lot. I had this game group, and they were like, don't trust Harmony. Don't trust anything she does. She'll betray. But like, it was a lie though, because I have this code of ethics when I play these games, which is I don't betray anybody unless it directly wins me the game. If it doesn't directly win me the game, I'm not going to do it. But people, like, they don't get that. And they'll always say, don't trust Harmony, whatever you do. And whenever they induct new people in, they'll teach them the rules. And then they're like, the number one rule is don't trust Harmony. It's bullshit, Bill. And so they kneecap me early every time.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
So she will betray if it suits her. I see.
Only if it directly wins me the game. Not if it gets me a step closer to winning, but if that move gives me victory, I'll do it. But if it doesn't win me the game, I'm not going to do it.
It's the red hair. Yeah, but diplomacy is interesting. I have heard that I've gone blank. Is Richard Nixon Secretary of State? Somebody help me out here.
No.
Tim's gonna pop in and say it in a second. I know, but
Secretary of State.
Richard Nixon Secretary of State.
Richard Nixon Secretary of State.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell
Kissinger.
you.
Thank you, Kabuki Kid. That Henry Kissinger played Diplomacy, like the actual game. Of course, he played Diplomacy. He was the Secretary of State,
Yeah.
but he played the Avalon Hill game Diplomacy.
Yeah,
in
that makes
spare time.
sense. It's been out
So-
since like what, the 50s or 60s. It's an
Yeah.
old game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Diplomacy is not a new game at all. I'm afraid of Diplomacy. Like
It's not that bad.
well, it's not that I'm a meek dude, so I don't know that I would be able to go in hammer and tongs against somebody to win. So
Yeah, so games like that, they're always about making people think you're less of a threat than you are. And
okay.
so the first couple times you play when you're like brand new, you just like pretend you don't know what you're doing, and people are like, "All right, we don't need to worry about that person." And then you get bigger and bigger each round, and you end up growing fast, and then by the time people realize that you're the number one threat at the board, it's too late.
See,
That's how you win.
I like shooty stuff. I guess that's
Yeah,
the Space Hulk and
you know,
so.
I used to say I like, oh gosh, I go back and forth on this, whether I'm a board gamer or a war gamer, because I went on the Roll and Bones podcast with Ryan Howard,
Mhm.
and he was telling me, he was asking me what kind of games I like, and I told him, he's like, so you're a war gamer? And I'm like, well, I don't like skirmish games, like I don't really play Warhammer or anything like that, but I like the large scale diplomacy war games.
Mhm.
And so his chat goes, yeah, these are war games. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a war gamer. And then I said it the other day, and people are like, those aren't war games, those are board games. So I don't know.
And I don't
I don't really know what to classify myself
I just
as
like
there.
stuff that's fun. You want to play some dungeon? I like dungeon. Dungeon's a lot of fun, and it's I have so many odds and ends around me that I know the people who made them, and I'm not talking about recent stuff. It's like to have a dungeon master's guide and say I was friends with Gary Gygax. That does my head in. That just blows my mind. I met Dave Meary and talked to him about dungeon, and Tracy Lesh, who's been on the show many times. I wish Tracy was still local. God, we could have a 3-person live show, and that would have been a lot of fun. But
yeah, you're gonna need to expand your office.
I know I'm just gonna have to take the sledgehammer and knock this wall through. But he had to move out of state. But Tracy designed all the art and the layout for the first dungeon board game, and it's kind of humbling, that
really everybody should live in Florida. It'd just be more convenient.
yeah, but then we'd kind of start to tip the country up a little bit.
That's true.
And then the Californians would roll in, and we wouldn't want that.
You don't want the California slide.
No, definitely not. Kriegspiel, yeah. Have you done Chit and Hex war games? You ever done those, like Rise and Decline, Kriegspiel, any of those? Yeah. I see that there's a level of visceral action that I like in a tabletop game, that if you get like too far above it, like this chip represents 500,000 men, I just moved 100 miles, 4 hours later you move them again, that don't do it for me. I like I said, I like shooty stuff.
I do like, so I don't like 1v1 skirmishes. I like games with combat. Like I used to play, actually, when I was like brand new to board games, one of the first games I was introduced to was a miniatures game. It was not Warhammer though. It was called Malifaux. And I played that for, you know that?
Yeah,
wow.
I didn't know. Okay. Yeah. I've got somewhere on my shelf of shame, I've got a couple of Malifaux miniatures.
Oh, okay.
I thought they were cool when I was
I've never really heard anyone talk about it in the past decades. So.
Yeah. It came and went.
Yeah.
It may be kicking around, but not so much so that you'd notice it anymore. But yeah, no, I remember seeing
that was in like maybe 2009, 10, something like that.
I
played that from like 2010 to 2012-ish. But yeah, it's been a while. But that was my that was my foray into skirmish 1v1 games.
Right on.
Was Malifaux. However, I don't normally play like things that I think are normally considered war games. I just like the big diplomacy war games with
Right.
negotiation because I mean because it plays off my strength. I'm a persuasive person. I'm a girl. I can yeah. I'm pretty good at playing tables, so I like poker like games a lot. I think
My
those are my favorites.
my father-in-law doesn't game anymore, but oh my gosh, 10, 15, 20 years ago, like you and him would have gotten along t- like anything, because I have the remains of his Avalon Hill collection. He gave away, sold off, gave to Goodwill, a whole bunch of them. But I mean, he had the full spread. He had Dune. He had the Shield duels. Oh, Bashaker, thank you. Thank you for paying the late fee, Bashaker. I appreciate that. Bashaker with a 5 in. I appreciate that, brother. Helping keep the lights on, absolutely. Um, but yeah, he absolutely loved those. And Colleen will tell you, he used to play by mail with friends, and he would have like the full spread, the full game for Rise and Decline, or Kriegspiel, or Squad Leader, not Advanced Squad Leader.
I am way too young to have ever played anything by mail, and the concept utterly blows my mind that at one point gamers were so it needed to play their games like that so badly that they would wait for days at a time to take a turn via snail mail. That blows my entire mind. And I mean, I know if I was like 20 years older, I would have done it. Like I know I would have been one of those people.
Yeah, there was
Weeks, he says.
weeks. Yeah, weeks depending on where it was.
Mhm.
Tim used to play chess by mail.
That's wild.
Yeah, but he would
Have you ever gotten a letter?
like
Yeah,
not junk mail, but like
yes,
actually open it up and read it.
my grandma writes me, and I write her back sometimes.
There you go. That's lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he would set everything up on the table, and Colleen and her sister knew, like, don't mess with Dad's game. You know, that's like it's set up. He knows where his pieces are. His player knows where his pieces, or his opponent knows where their pieces are. But the price of postage, yeah, what is it, like $1 to send a letter now?
Yeah. Wow. No internet and long distance phone calls billed by the minute. I do remember that. I'm not that young. I'm just too young to have been at an age where I was old enough to play war games, but the internet wasn't an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we first moved to Florida, and showing my age here, but when we first moved to Florida, it was before the government broke up AT&T, and they could essentially do what they wanted. So like calling to another zip code could be considered a long distance call, depending on where you were.
Yeah.
So like if you were in Winter Park and you wanted to call Orlando, that would incur a long distance charge. If you were in Sanford and wanted to call Orlando, that would be a long distance charge. It was nuts.
Wow.
But that dovetails into the story that I believe, and somebody is gonna. Oh, Doc Flamingo, thank you very much, Doc Flamingo with the fiber. He says the only game of diplomacy I ever played was by mail. I think that game was actually made for it, worked beautifully, and was hugely fun.
That's amazing that you'd be able to like negotiate with everybody by mail because I don't know. I just remember having a lot of negotiations. I think it was Italy when I played. I don't remember. I've only played diplomacy once. It's more I enjoy like that sort of game.
It's interesting you bring that up. I played, and I'll get back to my TSR story in a minute, I promise. Yeah. But the one long game of Blood Royale we played, I played Italy.
Whoa.
And yeah, and now to conquer all of Europe is the goal. To basically, England now controls the destiny of the continent. However, I think it was England that ended up winning our game. However, I lost by basically moving all my armies out of provinces in exchange for money. I sold all of Italy and kept Rome for myself. So I said, well, it's the year 1400. I have Rome and a fat stack of money. Historically, this tracks.
See, that's why, yeah, I kind of understand that. That's why I really like Twilight Imperium, because sometimes you have goals that necessitate you moving around, right?
Mhm.
So, like for example, you might have a goal that says blockade someone's space dock. So what I do is I look at my neighbor and I say, hey, I'm going to vacate my space dock right here and blow up your stuff over here so I can blockade yours. My space dock is going to be left unguarded for you. And if you want to fight any further, we can, but I don't think we need to. So that's always what I would do.
There you go. There you go.
It's,
It's like
mhm.
you invent a meta
Yeah.
narrative inside.
But like that sort of negotiation, I don't understand how people did that by mail. And I'm pretty sure the line for Gen X now is, did you play war games by mail?
Yeah, I think that's it. It's not.
Yeah.
Did you have a Blockbuster card?
No.
Were you kind and rewind? Did you play war games by mail?
Yeah.
That's the new line, and I like it. I'm all about it. But no, I think it was Tim Kask who he called up Gary for clarification about a rule in Dungeons and Dragons he didn't understand. Tim was in Minneapolis, Gary in Lake Geneva, so huge long distance fee back then, and ended up talking to him for hours and hours and hours and hours. And while they were on the phone, Gary basically started running Tim through a D&D adventure over the phone. And by the end of the evening, well, end of the day, probably, because again, this was hours, Gary ended up hiring Tim to work at TSR.
Oh,
So
see, that probably couldn't happen today. I don't know. Maybe it could.
I think maybe like a Zoom call
Maybe.
or something like that could lead to it. But I mean, that was the equivalent of it today, and that's why like people who chafe at, oh, I don't, it's role playing online isn't real gaming. It absolutely is, because one of the first TSR employees, like TSR employee number 4 or something, got his foot in the door by gaming online. I mean, gaming online is gaming over a communication network. What was the communication network in 1974? Telephones.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah. So that I believe, and I think it was Tim Kask. If I'm wrong about that, and someone in the audience knows, I am sure they'll light me up. Tell me.
I mean, that sounds like a familiar story. I think I've heard it before.
Yeah. That game of D&D with Gary cost $1,000. Yeah, no doubt, right?
I pay more than that to play D&D with Gary.
An all-day long-distance call to from Minneapolis to Lake Geneva in the 1970s, which was like, a quarter of a low-end full-time job salary for the year. 8-track tape over avian carrier. I remember this happened not that long ago. It was like in the 20 teens, early 20 teens, but people were bitching about the broadband service being offered by some Canadian phone company, and they were like, it's fine, you guys are getting great speeds, and showing like obviously you're pinging a computer 5 feet away. You're not. And to prove it was cheaper, or to prove how expensive and slow it was, somebody said I could fill up a 60 gig solid state drive and mail it overnight to someone halfway across the country. It would get there faster than I could download 60 gigs, and it would cost less money even if they threw the drive in the trash and never sent it back to me. It would be cheaper to do that than use your broadband service. I don't know what the net result of it. Yes, okay. So Kabuki backed me up there. That was Tim Kask. Kabuki knows stuff. I gotta have Kabuki on the show. I'll just be sitting here talking smack, and Kabuki will jump in and be like, actually Gary's shoe size was 8.5 wide. Oh, good Lord. He just knows.
I've never thought about Gary's feet.
I didn't
until
now. And now.
Well, why did you shared it with me?
Yeah. And them. So the rest of you have to deal with that too. Kabuki said, got once stuck on a phone call with Lou Zoki. Once back when long distance was a thing. He can talk. Another pricey call. It's like I bet. Let's see. How would I use AI for content generation? I mean, I don't know if that is from earlier in conversation, Bashaker, but I mean, I I wouldn't. I mean, do you?
I mean, I've played around with like Chat GPT and stuff, and I mean, sometimes I think it can be useful for like idea generation, but it doesn't fully flesh out content and ideas like a human brain can.
No.
I don't
No.
really use it anymore, so thank you, Patty. I posted, so to flesh out that story so that people don't think I'm just posting pictures of my feet on the internet. I stepped on a D4 once, and it like actually it penetrated through my skin. It like it broke my skin and broke the D4 too. And so I just
wait. Do you still have a chunk of four-sided die in your foot?
No, I cut it out. I used tweezers to get it out. No, so I posted on Twitter, I took 1d4 damage, and it had the little part of my foot that had the sore on it, not my whole foot. Just it didn't even show like toe cleavage, right? It just showed like a little bit. And like the dice that had broken in my foot. And like, do you know how many people bookmarked that?
I can imagine.
It was wild. It was like a double-digit number of people bookmarked that. It wasn't even a good picture. It was blurry.
That doesn't matter to people.
I've never seen so many weird comments. Like, if I have you blocked on Twitter, there's like a 90% chance it was because you said something weird about my feet. Because I have like 2 other people blocked. Yeah, it was. I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
No, that's okay. I'm just
you can blame Patty.
Halsey says they still ship data physically for things that. Oh no, I can believe it. Halsey, I absolutely believe it. I used to deal with stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of DLT tapes all the time. And I'm sure the people who were handling them still are. Tim said he had people bookmark pictures of his kids and it freaks it out.
Yeah, that's messed up.
It was Tarantino's multiple sock puppet accounts. That or Dan Schneider.
No. No. Dan Schneider did not see my feet picture.
Well, he hadn't until now, but yeah, I have a couple of steel drafting rollers around here. I will occasionally take a picture of and post them up on Twitter and say obligatory feet pics.
I should probably do that since I had a double-digit number of people bookmark that, but do you know how many followers I got from that?
Yeah, you know, that's always the stuff, right? Or step on a plug. Yeah. Oh yeah, stepping on power plugs is horrible too. I would put it like a very like neck and neck with stepping on a Lego. You know, just like a 3-pronged power plug. That just like they're just designed to cause horrible physical pain.
Yeah, I the worst thing I've ever stepped on was the D4, I think.
Oh yeah, because it, like you said, it penetrated.
Oh, actually, second worst. I got one like 2 or 3 days ago. It was so bad.
Oh no, what happened?
I walked outside barefoot because I just do that sometimes.
We're Floridians. We do that.
And I stepped on an apple snail. It was like a snail like that big, and it just crunched and squished. And
God. It wasn't pain. It was just
it was horrible.
Did you get a video of it? I'm sorry, going straight to hell. I'm sorry.
No.
Remember Jax? Like, do you remember?
Yeah.
I never stepped on a jack. I can honestly say I never stepped on a jack. So, but I used to think about it when I was a kid. Like, man, if you stepped on that, that would really hurt. But I never did.
Yeah, right. So, oh God. Yeah, miniature caltrops, absolutely. I used to play with them at my grandmother's house because that was all there was to do because she didn't have internet and I wasn't allowed to play Dungeons and Dragons.
So you just sat and played jacks.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
And eventually I was allowed to bring my N64 over there. And my grandfather would watch me play Mario and he would call him a Mexican jumping bean.
He would call Mario a Mexican
Yes.
jumping bean.
Yes, because that's all I saw him do was like jump and I don't know.
Patty
How much
asked.
XP did I get for the snail? I think I lost XP for the snail.
Possibly. The problem with D&D feed pics is they get 3 times larger if you go outside. I got that reference.
I don't get it.
In AD&D, distances are listed in inches. So if you if your movement rate is 12 inches, that's 120 feet per round. In a dungeon, it's 120 yards per round out of the dungeon.
Okay.
So that's
okay.
Hence the joke. I got it immediately, Halsey. I thought it was hilarious.
I didn't. I was thinking about feet.
Bashaker, trying desperately to drag this stream back on topic, says, what would you play if D&D wasn't an option?
Cosmic Encounter.
Well, there you go.
Always Cosmic
Question
Encounter.
asked. Question. Okay, role-playing game. You don't
don't
have Cosmic Encounter to hand, or no one wants to play it. Role-playing game, not D&D.
I had fun with Pathfinder.
That's D&D.
It's D&D. Okay, fine. Let's see. I've also had quite a bit of fun. There's this game I used to play called Numenera that was fun because I didn't have to learn much to play it, which is a really lame thing to say. No, probably the role-playing game I've had most fun with that wasn't D&D was Shadowrun. And you know what game I really want to play though? Speaking of Shadow, is Shadow Dark, because I keep hearing really good things about it. And the person who makes it, Kelsey, she seems like one of the coolest people on the internet, and everything I hear about her game is amazing. And so I keep saying, I'm going to play Shadow Dark next. I got to play Shadow Dark.
Okay.
But yeah, that's oh, and I have on my 2 playlists also Traveler. Because I really wanted to get into more sci-fi role-playing games that like aren't Starfinder. And I keep wanting to play Traveler. And I have a friend who might run it for me, but I think I don't know, I think he wants to run something else. Because I don't want to run it, I just want to play it.
We actually did for I guess 11 or 12 weeks on the live stream on Wednesday nights. We did a Traveler session that my co-host Kyle ran, and it was stupid amounts of fun as we murder hoboed our way from sector to sector. My character wanted to be level-headed. Like Kyle kept trying to extend this gambit of so there's only 2 things in the Traveler Imperium setting that will earn you the death penalty. Everything else you'll get thrown in prison for. You may get sent to a planet where there's a prison where it effectively is a death sentence, but the Imperium will not just straight up like, we're going to execute you for this, but for 2 things. One of them is glazing a planet, and that is basically you hover over it and you turn on your nuclear drive, and you just you burn a city that way. You can use a nuclear weapon. You can use mass drivers, but apparently glazing a planet is extra bad. The other is using artificial intelligence, creating, programming, anything to do with artificial intelligence gets you deaded in Traveler. Kyle kept trying over and over again to bait us into having stuff to do with AI, and my ship's captain was like, "Look, we will rob, we will steal, we will smuggle, but I will throw you out an airlock without a suit with all of the stuff you have to do with AI if I find you've got AI." And he like kept coming at us with all that. And finally, we had a passenger on the ship who was like, "Yeah, but there's people who deal in black market stuff who would pay a pretty penny for this." And I was like, "Give me all of your research. Give me the computer." I took it straight to an airlock, right out the airlock, and that was it. We would not let him, or I would not let him bait us into a AI type situation.
Oh, that's good. And somebody asked me gators or anoles. I don't know what you mean. I'm gonna guess like, would I rather pet a gator or a gnoll? I think it's probably easier to pet a gator because you can catch them. The gnolls are too fast. So I'm gonna say gators. And somebody mentioned Stars Without Numbers, which is a really good suggestion. I've read the rule book for Worlds Without Numbers, and I really like that one. I like that system. I've forgotten who I've forgotten why I read that. Oh, because T-shirt Historia made me read it. Yeah,
That
that's
tracks.
yeah.
So the Gators versus Knowles things, I can lend some insight. There are two major universities in Florida. There's the University of Florida.
Oh
Their
yeah,
mascot is the Florida
right.
alligator.
Okay, he wasn't asking me which animal
The
I'd rather
Florida
pet.
State Seminoles. It's like if you're in Alabama, you would say Crimson Tide or War Eagle, or Georgia, you'd say Yellow Jackets or Bulldogs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I grew up in Kentucky, so it was always Cardinals versus Wildcats.
Oh, there you go.
So
Okay. All right.
yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense.
Well, there you go. Tim says these are sports ball things, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, but yeah. So we did have a lot of fun with Traveler. So I do recommend get yourself into a classic Traveler game. It is.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Fun.
Yeah, I told you I have a friend. My DM Robbie might DM it for me. I don't know. I have to be like really nice to him because he also wants to DM Call of Cthulhu. So, which is also good. I'm not much on horror RPGs. I love horror like movies, and I know you just had Sandy Peterson on, so I'm gonna.
I was just about to say we just had Sandy on the show. This
and it's nothing. I think Call of Cthulhu is well designed. I think it's a good game. I'm not really great with horror RPGs because I like to like joke around with my friends a lot, and I tend to like spoil the mood. I'm a bad player when it comes to horror RPGs.
I gotta be honest. The first time I played Call of Cthulhu, yeah, and even our keeper, that's the nomenclature for DM in Call of Cthulhu. Jeff was getting irritated at us, and when we were taking a break, like okay, let's snuff the candles, turn the lights on, and get a soda, a beer, whatever. Jeff was like, you know what the problem is? We all grew up watching Scooby-Doo. This Call of Cthulhu has been permanently crippled by this is wacky, this is fun, not this is unknowable horror that will impinge itself on your psyche, and by knowing that drive you insane. And he's like, you guys are acting like it's Scooby-Doo because that's what we all grew up watching, not reading H.P. Lovecraft first and then discovering Scooby-Doo later. And I think there was some truth to that.
Yeah, I think so. I love horror though.
Yeah. So Halsey asks.
Geez, that's a really hard question. I rewatched Poltergeist like yesterday. And that's not really a horror movie. Does Poltergeist count as a horror movie? Because that's up there right now.
I think that I almost feel like the second one is way more of a horror movie than the first one.
So my favorite movies are usually like the last one I watched. Which the last horror movie I watched was Poltergeist. Gosh, I like so many of them. I really like The Birds too.
That's a good one. That's
I don't know if that's my favorite. Oh, that one by that one by James Cameron where they're in a submarine at the bottom of the sea with like aliens. I don't remember what it was called. They're like trapped in a submarine and there's like aliens, deep sea aliens.
It's called The Abyss.
Is that called The Abyss? Okay. Yeah, I like that one. That one's probably up there.
Then that's more of a sci-fi movie. But
it was a horror movie for me because my biggest fear is deep water. I'm severely thalassophobic.
Thalassophobia, yes.
That's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just deep water scares me a lot.
Yeah, I mean there is something delightfully creepy about it. And I mean, it's been a few months since I saw this, but I was reading a study hypothesizing that there could be like near or total water worlds out there in other star systems with oceans that are thousands and thousands of kilometers deep. And yeah, that's a thought that kind of keeps you up late at night, like
Yeah.
what would be down there, if anything, other than like exotic ices, and water existing in states we don't even understand.
They said I wouldn't like Subnautica, but like I've played Subnautica and I played it until I cried when I got out of the starter zone. It's like this game where you're underwater. And,
Yeah,
you know it. Okay.
Yeah, I know Subnautica.
Yeah, I cried when like those little things like that were moving through the through the kelp would like jump out and scare me. And I cried, so I had to quit.
For myself, when it comes to horror movies, I don't. There's 3 horror movies. Well, no, there's 4 horror movies that really like do it for me, like put me on the edge. I would say The Exorcist.
Yeah, I like that one.
The Shining.
Okay.
Oh, The Shining is the one that still like just makes my skin
I don't
crawl.
like The Shining. I read the book and I saw the movie and I just don't like The Shining, and I can't explain why. I didn't find it scary.
The other is kind of strange because I think like as a horror movie it's amazing, and that is the 1978 The Amityville Horror.
Okay.
I think it is legitimately a well done horror movie. I don't, for not a nanosecond, do I believe that George and Kathy Lutz encountered paranormal things in that house. I don't think a word of that is true.
Sure.
But I think if Jay Anson had just said, "Hey, I'm going to write a horror novel," and it would have been like levels of Stephen King good. I don't think they needed the conceit of this really happened. I think they actually fled the house because it was the 1970s and there was dead ass broke. And the other one, and I realize I'm like, of the exactly one half of the planet that loves it and the other half hate it, I'm in the love side of it, and that is the Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
I like
that one's good.
Yeah, I like the Blair Witch Project. The ending, yeah. And I know everybody started doing found footage and everybody started doing creepypasta stuff based on it.
Yeah.
But I really like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, Pet Sematary, someone mentioned. That one was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Pet Sematary was a much better Stephen King movie than The Shining.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Huh.
Like, the only part of The Shining I can remember offhand that stays with me is like the naked grandma getting out of the tub. No. But when I think of Pet Sematary, I think of that kid coming out from under the bed and severing that guy's Achilles tendon. That
yeah. There is something pretty visceral about it.
But. Yeah, no. I read the book too. I read both books and watched both movies, and I think Pet Sematary was better.
I think with Amityville, or with The Shining, for me, I think that the book and the film are 2 completely different entities. And I feel like they are both fantastic, but they are fantastic for different reasons. I think one is a very clear study of Jack's mental breakdown.
Yeah.
You could almost take the tack that since we see so much stuff through Jack's eyes, that he's an unreliable narrator, and what he's going through is nothing more than a bad case of delirium tremens. Okay. I mean, he's literally losing his mind because he's drying out, because that is put forward as a main focus, that he was an alcoholic and he's fixing it. Whereas the film, and by the way, for anyone who's listening and believes this, no, the movie is not a secret message from Stanley Kubrick that he faked the moon landings for NASA.
I didn't know that was a theory.
Yes. And they base it all on the fact that Kubrick did 2001: A Space Odyssey, which had fairly convincing special effects for the day, and we see Danny Lloyd in a sweater that has a picture of a moon rocket on it.
Huh. Yeah, I had no idea that was a theory that.
Yeah, that he was just trying to tell people in The Shining. And I also don't really think that it's a movie about the plight of the American Indian.
Okay.
Native Americans, excuse me.
Somebody was mentioning Hereditary in chat. I actually just saw Hereditary. I just saw that like maybe 3 or 4 days ago.
Really?
It was good.
I've not seen it.
It's about like a demon that haunts this whole family and like is going through like different members of the family to get to the one at once and wants to be in the guy. Yeah, it's good. I like that one. I didn't see Midsummer, which was by the same, I think, director. I didn't see that one, but yeah, no, that was a good one.
Yeah, I've heard about Midsummer, but I have not seen it.
I think it's about a cult, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I know more or less the have you ever seen The Wicker Man?
Yes.
The original?
No, I saw the Nicolas Cage one.
that I don't think we get. They're very, very. They're only loosely related. So I was going to say, okay, so Midsummer, The Wicker Man, we can draw some, but the Nicolas Cage one, it's a meme.
Yeah, it's the only one I saw. In my mind, even if I see the real one now, in my mind, it's just the Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, that's I get it. I get it. Did you see him in Colorado Space?
No.
Okay. It's also a horror movie. It's based on an H.P. Lovecraft novella, and I'm told it's actually pretty good. Because Lovecraft to film has always been kind of a crapshoot. You know, so sometimes you get stuff that is so just completely bonkers and over the top. It's like Reanimator 2, Bride of Reanimator, is loosely based on the second half of the novella Reanimator by H.P. Lovecraft, and it's just like, what the it's what in the hell?
I didn't know what we'd be talking about today, but I'm actually surprised it's horror movies. That's something I know a thing or two about, despite only having seen the Nick Cage Wicker Man.
Well, hey, we're just kind of meandering all over the place, if that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. But see, when you're on my show and like next week, when you're on my show,
right?
We're gonna talk about your game.
That's fine.
All right.
That's it.
Cool.
That's absolutely okay. I do not mind in the least. Interrogate me if you want. I'll never talk. Oh no, wait, I'll be your guest. I will
from a movie and games. Someone asked. I don't think from movies, but there is one video game that I plagiarize from for my games, and it's because nobody plays it. And I have recommended this game to like probably thousands of people at this point, and like nobody plays it.
Well, recommend it now. You're going to reach tens of people.
Right. It's a game from the 90s. It's called Star Control 2. It was just re-released on Steam for free under the name Free Stars, Star Control 2. It has amazing quest writing, and I have plagiarized more than one creature and quest from that game, and my players have no idea. And I even tell them that they should play Star Control 2. None of them have played Star Control 2, so they don't know what I plagiarized from it. And I mean, I don't know. It just makes me look very original, I guess.
The Spathy, the show Fixty, the
hierarchy. Okay.
Yeah,
so you've played this.
I know.
You know this.
So we used to play Star Control 1 on the Amiga computer back in the.
But Star Control 1's not the good one.
No, Star Control 1's a great game.
I mean, isn't that one? I thought that one was just a dogfighting simulator.
It has a campaign mode,
okay,
where you can you move up through systems. And a buddy of mine, God rest his soul, he's not with us anymore, actually wrote, is the Amiga computer had a scripting tool called AREX, and he wrote a tool in AREX that would let you play extremely long, drawn out campaigns and keep track of your victories and losses. So you could play the like 10 or 12 mission campaign to conquer a few star systems, and then immediately launch another. And it would help you play a long-term game.
I mean, I plagiarize 1-for-1 the ores sometimes for my games. Also the quest with the what are they called? Not the show Fixty. The little amoebas that send like the big probes out.
The Spathy?
No, not the Spathy. The Slilandro.
Right.
I plagiarized that quest because what happens is the player character will run into like all these probes that are like, we come in peace, and then like you'll talk to them and then they'll say, priority override, new behavior detected, must break target into composite materials, and then they fight you. No matter what they do, they fight you. And it's because these like little amoeba things, I'm gonna spoil this now, I'm so sorry.
That's fine. Go ahead.
It came out in 1990. I'm not gonna spoil something that came out in, like, it was 1992, I think. But these little amoeba things like reprogram them to make more of themselves and to reproduce
They're a
as
von
best as
Neumann
possible.
machine.
And it was like a programming error why they were going around attacking people. Oh yes, it was so good. And I use that 1-for-1 in my games sometimes, and no one's ever caught me doing it because nobody takes me up on my recommendation to play Star Control 2.
Well, I think the StarCon games are awesome. We had back last summer, Errol Otis was on, and Errol, of course, has a big hand in the design and direction of the Star Control series. And I didn't realize that at the time, but like so much of the groovy art in StarCon was Errol's. And if you go back and look at it, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That looked like his stuff.
Doc Flamingo's gonna play it. I will say it doesn't hold your hand. You have to be like willing to understand like 90s game design, and when somebody tells you the coordinates to a home system you should visit or anything else, you should be writing down those coordinates.
Yes.
Because there's no like in-game journal where you can be like, what are my quests again? No, you have to write them down. But it's so good.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna have to check that one out too. As I had a lot of fun playing the original StarCon.
Oh, Star Control 2 is the best of the series. Like, I tried to play some of the new ones and they didn't do it for me. But just like all of the best games, you can tell it's a good game when it's held up in legal issues for 10 plus years. Like when there's a big legal battle over it, like something you mentioned earlier had the same thing. If there's a big legal battle over it, you know it's a good game. Yeah, Dark Tower.
Yeah.
All the best games have that. So you know it's good.
Yeah, when it's worth fighting over. When it's shovelware that you can get anytime, any place, it's like,
of course,
nobody cared enough about it.
Doc Flamingo's here, like reminding me that I am here explaining to your audience 90s game design when they 100% know it better than me. Not saying your audience is old, but
oh no, let me tell you something. I was looking, I got this fancy freaking new phone, right? And I can actually look at my YouTube. Let me take a step aside real quick, Harmony. YouTube, I'm speaking to you directly. The tools that you have for mobile for account management, please put them on the desktop. Please put easy to understand metrics on the desktop. Thank you. But I was looking through, and yeah, my demo like are just 90% 45 to 54. So trust me, you're speaking to the right people.
yeah. I'm I enjoy being in my 30s lecturing people 10 to 20 years older than me. This is 90s game design. You have to be willing to understand it. Like, they were there, I was barely there.
It's funny when we were when Sandy was on, he was talking about like some of his design decisions in Doom 2 when he was making levels for Doom and for Doom 2. And he said, I always loved like putting the BFG in a room with like it's sitting on top of a plinth and there's light shining down on it, it's kind of strobing on and off softly. And I was like, yeah, and the damn thing's trapped. It's just going to start teleporting in Hell Knights and everything around. He's like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, yeah, thanks. So another one that didn't hold your hand. There's no like, easy mode. It just sets off to kill you right from the get-go. Halsey said he liked StarCon Origins, but he understands. Have you played Zork? Tim wants to know if you played Zork.
Will he hate me if I say no?
Probably not. I don't know.
All right. No, I haven't played Zork.
So the Infocom games, I really, really, really wanted to get into the Infocom games. And when I finally got a disk drive for my Commodore 64 back in the day, because they didn't make them on cartridge, they didn't make them on tape. And I finally got to play them. I found out very quickly that that it got extremely frustrating because, like you said, StarCon doesn't hold your hand. If it says, these coordinates, you'll never see that again. You'll never
Yeah.
hear that again.
You write that down or you lose the game.
Exactly. You can wander around everywhere. And Infocom games were very much like that. It's like, a brick is jutting out of the wall. Touch the brick slides in, you hear a distant rumbling. That may have literally just closed off an entire section of the game. Like, you will never get through it. Restart the game and don't do that. There's cause and effect to everything, and if you don't know what it is, you get stuck playing guess what I'm thinking with the programmer.
I didn't play that many text-based games. The only like full text-based game like that I played, that I actually beat, I think, was the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy text-based game.
That was a hard one. Congratulations. That was a tough one. That was a tough one.
I spent a lot of time with it because it was the only Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy video game, and I was when I was in middle school and high school, I was like really, really big into that series.
So one of the pioneers of the text adventure game field was a guy named Scott Adams and Adventure International, and they were actually located here in this part of Central Florida. And I reached out to him not too long ago because I had those games on my Commodore when I was a kid. And there were so many little interesting bits about that. And it was kind of nice to reminisce with someone who was back in there, because I had found different ways to cause different things. I don't want to get too much into the nuts and bolts of an 8-bit computer from 45 years ago, but and it was just nice to talk to someone and get into their head as far as different design decisions and why they made things work a certain way. So I think you would like the if you like the Hitchhikers, I think maybe you'd like the Zork series. And then there's the original 6 are Zork 1, 2, and 3, and then Spellbreaker, Wishbringer, and Enchanter.
Okay.
So
well, I can check it out if I have time.
They'll eat time. I'm just gonna warn you. I'm just gonna warn you.
So maybe not then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have time to do everything I want to do right now.
Right. Yeah, I completely understand. Don't want to miss anybody. You're not running out of steam, are you?
No, I'm just getting started. I've got so much extra steam. I hold so much steam.
You have so much steam. You're practically a Steam account by yourself.
Yeah.
Well, while I've got her here in the studio, if you guys have any more questions, I think now would be the time to ask before she just right into the desk.
I'm gonna start like streaming by myself and doing like some Q&A stuff, but man, it's so hard to get over the hurdle.
Well, your channel is awesome, by the way, and
doing pretty well.
Now that it has been revealed, I will go back and I will put in the actual description, because she is absolutely worth checking out. I mean, there's a few movers and shakers in the TTRPG YouTube space she hasn't had on her channel yet, but but no, you guys should absolutely subscribe to Harmony.
I'm having Discourse minis on my channel tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Discourse. She's interesting. I gotta say, I like it when she does like positive content. Like she did a video about one-page rules, which are like, hey, I have a crap ton of Warhammer minis, but I don't like Games Workshop anymore. Have we got a game for you? Boom. And it's literally a single page of skirmish or games. And I love her coverage of stuff like that.
So I mean, she's come up in my YouTube recommended for years, and occasionally I watch her videos, and she's always entertaining. I believe I have saved a clip of her pretending to be a diabetic, forcing herself to eat an egg, and like saying she was unaliving herself with the egg, pretending to be a diabetic. And I can't wait to talk to her about that one as an actual diabetic. No, I thought it was funny. I might bring it up to tease her, but
That
Yeah.
is funny. I can answer this one. We did not know each other before we started our channels.
We met on T-shirt stream.
Yeah, T-shirt had pulled me in, and Harmony is a regular over on his streams, and we were just chit-chatting, and I made a comment about the heat in Central Florida, and she's like, "Wait, what? You live in
I was
Central
like,
Florida?"
whoa, Central Florida, me too.
Yeah.
And so that's how we became friends.
Exactly.
I didn't know anything about
Florida
him except that,
represent.
yeah.
Don't leave me hanging.
Oh, sorry.
So, but no, I quote unquote had a YouTube channel back in 2014, but my uploads were very sporadic. I started streaming on Facebook when human malware hit, and then I was like, hey, I got this YouTube channel I haven't done anything with. Why don't I just figure out a way to stream to both places at once? And I worked out the technical knots in that, and then Facebook got weird on me, so I just started streaming on YouTube, and then Hasbro accidentally did the OGL, and I started, my channel kind of blew up after that, and here I am.
Yeah. My first exposure to TTRPGs was when I was 18, I believe, because I wasn't allowed to play Dungeons and Dragons or RPGs in general when I lived at home. My parents thought they were, or my mom. It was really my mom. She thought it was like a satanic thing. So my first exposure was probably when I was 18. I played. Oh, my first real exposure. I played one in like a friend's basement one time, but I think that was first edition D&D, but I'm not 100% because I was like 14 at the time and I didn't know anything. But my first actual exposure to a campaign game was when I was 18, and I played in a third edition campaign. It was a lot of fun. I played a cleric because I'm a girl. So
well, all right, and copy and paste this in here.
Oh.
So you guys can.
Oh yeah, that's my. No, that's not it. That's not it. It has an underscore in it though.
Oh, okay.
That's not my YouTube.
All right.
Harmony underscore Ginger.
Easy to fix.
Yeah.
Easy to fix.
It's that one, yeah.
There you go. I'll put that up on the screen. Do not be deceived by that, brothers and sisters. That is the channel.
Thank you,
You're
Michael,
welcome.
about the videos. Yeah, no, you too. But I gosh, it's so hard to make those too. I don't know. I have learned. I'm trying to like say less in them, but it's just so hard for me to record YouTube videos. I'm working on it though. I'm getting better at it.
I'm honestly in the same boat. I'm thinking of teleprompter. Hopefully that can help. So.
I just read from a script and try to make it sound like I'm not.
Let's see. What was the Mage's Musing? Your mother was still in satanic panic mode in the 90s or 2000s.
Yes, she was.
There you go.
Yeah, I grew up Southern Baptist, so yeah. Kabuki is also a girl, and first PC she ever made was an assassin. Yeah, all right. So no, I definitely make jokes about it because I'm the girl that likes playing the healer. I don't know why. I've always liked doing it. But really, I've kind of gotten past that, and I can play pretty well any PC now and still have fun. The PC I'm playing now is a wizard. But yeah. Twitter breaking news: Harmony says clerics are for girls. Yeah, they are. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying.
Mark Morrison said the first link I put up, send him to where he won $50,000 and all they want is his social security number. I say go for it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I mean, 50 grand, that's pretty good.
I mean, it's worth it. That's just like you're giving away, like
you're leaving cash on the floor, bud.
I don't know. What's the social security number? Like 9 numbers and you're getting 50,000 in return? It's worth it.
Simple
it's
to
like,
me. Yeah.
It's math.
Yeah.
Do it.
It's math. Mage's Musing approves of your wizardliness. I don't know. I never get to play, so it doesn't matter. I could say, yeah, I want to play a drow dual wielding scimitar having a chaotic evil assassin, and it ain't gonna happen because I don't ever get to play. But I think if I could, I'd go paladin.
So the last PC I played was a rogue. And she was a like bomb rogue slash nature cleric.
Bomb rogue.
Yeah, it's my DM homebrewed it.
Okay.
But it was like a bomb rogue slash nature cleric. It was a it was an eco terrorist. Can I say that? Can I say that word?
You just did. So
Sorry.
I fuck's sake, might as well.
Okay.
This stream's done.
Oh.
Yep, I'm just I'll just put that on
I'm
not
sorry.
viewed. That's okay.
I mean that was my PC archetype.
Well, I did make the crack about videoing stepping on the snail with your barefoot, so we're even now.
Okay. Oh boy.
I've just got some stuff to do before I'm on your next stream.
Oh boy.
Let's see.
Yeah, the word domain clerics are fun in 5e.
See, I don't even know what that is. I'm like
Yeah.
a word
They're
domain
like the
cleric.
clerics that can occasionally hit an extra time. Easy. That's it.
Okay. All right. That's all right.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yes, you're right, John. I agree with you. I'm not going to say that, but I agree with you. What is it? Cleric assassin character?
Yeah, it was a bomb rogue and nature cleric. I'm not allowed to say what the archetype I was going for was.
Yeah, saying bomb followed up by that other one, that's like, we're just going to turn your channel off now.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just saying that I wasn't thinking you were going to say it again.
Right.
Hello, Christopher. If you haven't seen the opening of the show, Christopher, you ought to go back. You say, hello, Bill and friend.
I thought I was going to be the dungeon delver. I'm not.
She stormed the studio. She and Colleen stormed the studio, and I was barely able to wrest back control.
I switched the places of 2 objects in your studio, and I'm not going to tell you what they were.
Oh God! Just please tell me one of them wasn't the red folder that said my Greyhawk notes on it.
I don't know.
Ah! To my Monday night group players who might be listening, I'm sorry, it's not my fault.
Yeah, you'll never know what it is.
Oh, I'm sure I'll figure it out soon enough, as organized as I am.
The toothbrush in the toilet. Okay. Yeah, bards are another one I enjoy. I enjoy all classes. I don't know. I just enjoy playing. I'm not too picky about what class I'm playing.
Yeah, I would enjoy playing, but again, I don't get to. Just perma DM.
Yeah,
that's that's the cross I got to bear. So I think unless anybody has any other questions, we've gone like 90 minutes now.
Yeah.
I think Harmony is pinching herself on her leg just to stay awake. So we're gonna.
That's not. I have to drive home. I have like a 30-minute drive home.
I know. She's like I said, she's across a county and a half.
I'll survive.
But I thank you for coming over and having dinner with.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to see your studio.
Yeah, I mean, you tell the folks it's pretty small. It's pretty small.
It's bigger from that angle.
Yeah, I mean, it's you think there's a lot of space. There's not. I'm basically touching, almost touching both walls.
Yeah, but you have like a 7-foot arm.
That's true. My knuckles do tend to drag around, but
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you to our audience for being here. I got to go through these supers real quick and thank everybody for that. Mark Morrison, thank you so much. Uncle Brat, really appreciate it. Wheeling Dragon asked what my 2 favorite colors were. Green and black. I got those. Bashaker paid the $5 late fee for being here. Doc Flamingo spent $5 to tell us that he played Dippy by mail. A worthy expenditure of $5, sir. Thank you very much. And Bashaker with just a tip of 2 again. So thank you all so very, 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 very much. Anything you'd like to say in closing?
Thanks, guys. It's always fun to get to see Dungeon Delver's audience. He has a really great audience. And Sorry if I was a little all over the place. I didn't know what we were coming here to talk about. So.
Neither did I.
But yeah, I always enjoy your audience though.
Well, they're pretty
they're
awesome.
fantastic.
Folks, and you're
Well,
pretty
I can be sure when I come on this show that everyone's going to be super cool to me, and I love that.
I have a pretty. I
Yeah.
like to say that I have the best old school Dungeons and Dragons 5 nights a week live stream audience on all of YouTube.
You do. You have a good one.
I do not think for a second that anybody has a better audience that fits that bill. So I'm not streaming tomorrow. But she is.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
please go check out her channel. The correct link with the underscore between Harmony and Ginger. And give her a subscribe and so on. And if you haven't already, if you're one of those people that out there and like you're like, I'm looking for live stuff on YouTube, what is this weird sort of riffraff cosplayer and the girl in the wizard hat talking about?
I don't cosplay.
No, I'm saying riffraff
Oh.
from Rocky Horror Picture Show. But anyway,
Oh.
and you want to see more stuff like this, please do click the subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications. If you're watching this, whether after the fact or if you're just wrapping up right now, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to leave a comment below and tell me what you liked about it, tell me what you liked about it, and I'll do more of it. But until then, guys, be good to each other, and Harvey and I will both see you around. Peace.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen a little creep driving fast in this little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing things, just take me to the show.